Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm going to take a look at StormOS. StormOS is a Arch-based distro, and it's something that I've taken a look at a couple years ago and really liked it. StormOS is a beginner-friendly distro based on Arch Linux, and I'm out at their website right now. And this is a distro that was developed by Ben Fitzpatrick, as well as Seeker, Razor 1981, Yogi-O Master 88, Zero Linux, Linux Tech Geek, Fishman Loves Linux, and more. So this distro's goal is to help bring new users over to the world of Arch Linux by offering an easy-to-install, out-of-the-box Linux Arch Linux experience. So how cool is that? And of course, StormOS has all the features that I really like the XFCE desktop, which is fully customized here. It's got the Octopi package manager, Yay AUR helper, all the cool stuff. And also Calamares was updated to 3.3.7 here in the installer. It's got tons of apps, custom scripts, all the things that's really cool. In fact, this edition even has a built-in screen recorder, which was built by Seeker, and it hopes to be an alternative to OBS Studio. So that's really kind of interesting. I might even have to give that a quick look. And I'm actually kind of excited that this release has come out now, and this was just released here a couple days ago, and Ben had let me know about it. So the last time I looked at StormOS, I think was almost 2 years ago. That was way back, man, when I was knighted by the Queen.
Silence, oaf.
I still remember that too, given the prestigious title of Oaf. And I was really caught by surprise. We were just having this nice conversation. She was telling me that her 100th birthday was coming up pretty soon. And I was like, wow, I figured you for about 120. So you're really pretty young, relatively. And the next thing I knew, I was knighted. Now, I don't know a whole lot about British hierarchy and all that, but I'm pretty sure with the title of Oaf, I'm uniquely qualified for public office. Wow! But enough babbling about my own greatness. Let's press on, shall we? I'm out here at the SourceForge download area, and this is quite a fresh release. Definitely something I want to take a look at. I'm going to click on it right now, download it, load it in, and we'll check it out. Okay, here I am. I'm at the opening screen here, and so I'm just going to load this right in. This is a live version, so it should load right into an XFCE desktop here shortly. And then we'll kind of see what's new in StormOS. So I'm just going to hit login here. So live user is our default username here in the live version. And already I like the feel. It's got this nice dark theme here, very consistent with a Storm. And we got a nice welcome screen. Looks very polished. So a great first impression. Here we got the StormOS Kernel Manager, which is nice. So the Arch Kernel Manager is a new addition as well. And then there's our recorder. And then here we got our console installer by the terminal. So if you want to install it this way, this is another option that you can go with. And so that looks like it's all set up too. And I believe Ben told me that the Packstall installer is there as well. Has been added, but I'm just going to go with the graphical version. You can also access it right from here on the welcome screen. So I'm just going to select it and hit apply. And then if this opens up the new Calamares installer, and I'm going to just go with the default here, which is American English. And then here we got anything that we want to embellish here. So if we want to add, make sure the latest kernel is in there, we can check that, or select some other options. Intel graphic drivers and AMD drivers if you have an AMD or Intel chipset. And of course, NVIDIA support as well. Awesome. And then our next page here brings us over to the software packages. So these are some more extras you can add in if you wish. Optional, gaming apps, VirtualBox, device support, and so forth. Under gaming, you can add in things to enhance your gaming experience, like wine staging, and Steam, Lutris, and all that good stuff. And then we got our device support, so you can add extras in here if you want to support some extra devices. And then we got our extra TTF fonts, and I'm just going to check that because I like having lots of fonts, and you can never have too many. I like fonts. So I'm going to just hit next here and press on and next. So all the defaults are good. And then I'm just going to go with erase disk and just erase everything and start fresh. And I think I'll select swap to file too, just for the heck of it. That kind of helps if you go into like a sleep mode or something like that. Having the swap to file there will make a difference. So I'm just going to go with Toadwick and then pop down here, give it a password. And then here you got some extra options, which I don't choose to use, but I'm just going to stay with all the defaults here and use the same password for the root account. And then we'll hit install. Install now. So the summary looks good to me, and that's it. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this, and when it's all done, I'll be right back. Okay, it's all done, and that didn't take too long. So nice. Everything went very smoothly, theoretically. So I'm just going to restart here and see how it looks. Okay, and I'm back. So here we got our nice new menu, and that looked pretty. I like that. Nice color scheme, and there's a StormOS logo, and that looks really nice too. I forgot to comment on that, but I think that looks great. And there's I think they might have updated that logo because it seems different than how I remember it. And I'm just going by memory, so. Okay, so here's our welcome screen. We got our XFCE desktop, and it's looking good here. And so these are some things you can start off with if you want to take a look at the website or have a debug version of the installer and so forth. I'm just going to exit out of there and let's explore. So here's the StormOS kernel manager, which I think is based on the Arch Linux kernel manager, I believe. And here we got some of our essentials down here in the panel. And then we got our other things here and our computer icons, notifications. There's our Pac-Man updater, and I just scooched up a little bit here so I can be more out of the way. But I'm going to open up our updater because we should really do this first before anything. Because if we're going to run like the kernel manager or any of this other stuff, it would be very wise to do an update first. At the very least, sync your repositories with sudo pacman syy, but it's better to do an update. And I also chose the option to do it in the terminal because, and then I'm going to launch this, because with the terminal, if you have an issue with the update, it's a lot easier to deal with if you have the terminal open, whereas a GUI only sometimes can't handle an issue if something is going wrong, like a library needs to be replaced or something. So here's our kernel manager. Nice. So you can see our current version here is 6.98, and then we have all these alternative kernels that we can select from and add or replace. And so it kind of reminds me of the Manjaro kernel manager thingy there, but it really makes managing kernels easy, and you can select from all the different kernels that are available, the LTS, the Zen kernel, the Harden, the AT, and even stuff I never heard of. But this is cool. Of course, we got our community kernels here, and then our install kernel, which is the latest here. And that's what I like, so I'm really happy with the kernels, but it's nice to know that if I needed to change the kernel, if I was having some kind of issue, it would really be easy to revert. Now let's look at this. This is the StormOS video recorder. So this looks kind of cool, and actually it took me back to the login screen. I don't know why. So I don't think it actually launched there, but I am in a VM, so that it could just be the way my drivers are set up. In fact, I might want to check my drivers and maybe see if that's the issue. I probably need 3D acceleration, and I probably don't have it on. I'm going to run this in terminal and just see what kind of message I get here when I launch this. So I'm going to try it one more time, take a look at it. Okay, failed to load module. I think that said color reload. And then back to this. So yeah, I'm very highly suspicious that this is a driver issue and has nothing to do with the app itself, but just because I don't have the 3D acceleration enabled in my virtual machine. So I restarted here. Excellent. So I went ahead and enabled 3D acceleration offline and restarted. So I booted back in, and let's see now if this works. Now let's give it another shot. And looking good. Excellent. So there it is. All right. So here we got our StormOS screen recorder. So turning on the 3D acceleration is what I needed, the OpenGL. Very cool. So here we got our primary display set by default, X264. Here we can choose from our formats, MKV, MP4, and so forth. Then we got our terminal. I think WebB was the other one, P. And then let's open up Chromium here and just see if we can like take a video of something. I don't know how optimal this is going to actually be in a VM. My results might vary compared to yours, but still, I think it's worth a look right here. So down in our taskbar, first of all, I'm just going to close this because see how it's opening in the terminal there? We don't need the terminal anymore because I'm already done troubleshooting. But I also had to relaunch this because Chromium wasn't showing up in the active window because I had opened that up after I started the recorder. So I needed to restart the recorder so it could acknowledge that. So now I'm thinking that it should record the Chromium browser there, I think. So let me just hit that real quick and just record everything, even though the terminal's there. But I'll turn that off in the shortcut in a second. But anyways, I just want to see if this is going to record. And I don't know if it's just going to record the Chromium browser itself, that window, or if it's going to do the whole screen. So we'll just find out. I'll just click on something and just kind of show some kind of action going on here for the screen recorder. But this is so cool. So this Seeker guy created this apparently himself for this project. So this is a customized screen recorder just for StormOS. I think that's pretty darn impressive. So I'm going to go in here and I'm assuming it probably stored it in the video folder. There it is. So I'm just going to double click that and see what happened. And there it is. Yes, so it looks like it recorded the whole desktop. And it's very smooth. The cursor is moving very smoothly, so it recorded very nicely. I don't see any latency at all there in the video, so that's looking good. I like that. How cool. So I'm going to close the video player there. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between the video and the actual desktop. Because, yeah, I recorded the whole thing. So I'm just going to edit the launcher here and uncheck run in terminal again, now that I don't need the terminal. So now if I launch it, it should just open up the app itself. So there's our screen recorder, and it looks like there's tons of options in here. So down here you can see in our system tray, the little red dot which denotes the recorder there. And it shows that it's recording right now, but I don't think it's actually recording. But here's tons of options you can choose from. So all these settings you can get right from right-clicking in the sys tray. That's very cool. You don't even have to have the app sitting up there to access all that. I like that too. Well done. So I go up here, select from custom region. So if I do that, then I guess I can select a region that I want to record. Okay. So I'm not able to select. I'm not sure what's up with the region thing. Again, that could be related to being in a VM as opposed to on hardware. Let me try that again. Yeah. As soon as I click it, it goes back to a regular cursor. So I don't really understand the region thing. Of course, this could be a work in progress too that might not be fully enabled, but I still have a feeling it has a lot to do with the limited graphics in my VM is probably the culprit. There's full screen by default. There's our custom area. I'm going to just check that real quick. And yeah, nothing. Well, let's look at other things. So there we can select our window. There's our webcam position. Interesting. Our overlay size, refresh windows. You can select the output format. So if you want to change to an MP4 or WebB, that's there, or P. And then select audio codecs. Wow. Audio input configuration, primary audio input. You got there your custom region, journal record. Man, just tons of stuff. So this is really got a lot of, this is what I apparently just recorded. So when I selected that custom area, I just kind of etched out a little square there in the Chromium browser. And so I don't know how I did that, but somehow I got that little square there. And then we have our about screen here, and it shows that this is version 2.0, Seeker's screen recorder. So wow, Seeker, I gotta tell you, that's really cool. This guy seems to really know what he's doing. I'm assuming it's a he. Seeker could be a she. I don't know. But it just kind of sounds like a he kind of name. And then here we can go back to the actual window if you want to see all the config and everything in a window mode. And so here I'm just going to try to hit stop there. I'm thinking that it should stop, but I do have latency with the OpenGL turned on because the XFCE really isn't optimal to have OpenGL when you're in a VM. But it was really the only way I could test out this recorder, and it's really only kind of a half test. And it's really no substitute for having your actual GPU on there on hardware. And of course, this isn't set up for GPU pass-through. That's a whole new complicated thing there. So I'm just going to close that and close this. I think, well, let's just double check our version here just to make sure it's the latest and greatest. And it is, of course, because this is Arch. So I'll just close that window. And yes. And I think I'm going to probably sneak out of here and just turn off my acceleration. Okay, and here we got, I rebooted, by the way, on the sly. So here we got our XFCE terminal, and with the neofetch, you can see all the info here on StormOS, and it's running Bash shell, which I like, good old Bash. And I'm just going to download Inkscape here. So I'm going to do a sudo pacman-f Inkscape, and then install that because I like installing through the terminal. But we can also do that through Octopi, which we're going to take a look at here in a sec. But it looks snappy. I like that. It looks like it just downloaded just fine. And so now if I go into graphics, we can see that it showed up. So no issues there with the Pacman installer. Come up here, we got our application finder under accessories. Balena Etcher, which is a great ISO burning program. And then we got disks. That's kind of cool. There's a nice utility. So I pop in here, I can look at the hard disk, and it can show the partition layout here, which is really well designed. I like it. And then of course your CD DVD. But you can also go in here and you can click on these things, see more information. You can also even select some options in there and manipulate things. Of course, you'll hose your whole hard drive if you're not really sure what you're doing. So I would not recommend that, but there's additional partition options. And then you can also unmount the drive. But you can go in here and you can format the partition. Again, I would not recommend that unless you really know what you're doing. Otherwise, you risk losing everything you got. And that would suck. But very cool utility. Nice. And then under development, just some basic stuff. And then back under accessories, let's explore some more stuff. So there's screenshot. So it's got the nice XFCE screenshot utility. One of my favorites, actually. StormOS system tool. And that's one I haven't looked at yet. Again, I think it's cool how StormOS, the developers there, have their own customized utilities and so forth. So that's a direction that I really like seeing them going. Easy for refreshing mirrors, system updates, AUR updates, and you can install the LS hardware or list your hardware, blank your screens. So lots of GUI ways you can get things accomplished here without using the console. Here I can list your hardware, but it can't do it because I never installed it. So naturally it wouldn't find the utility, but I can just come over here, hit step 6 and install LSHW, and then we can list our hardware, come back over here, and instead of typing a console command, we can just click a button, which is cool. And I forgot where it was. Where is it? Yeah, oh, down here. Yeah, that's right. Sysinfo. So I'm just going to authenticate, and now it should give us, yes, all that info. So now we can go down and take a look at it, and very cool, especially if you're like troubleshooting, if you're a little more advanced and you're kind of into deeper levels of Linux, then your listing hardware LSHW utility is pretty nice. And then if we scroll down to internet, we got Chromium, and then under multimedia, we got VLC player, which is nice, Pulse Audio, Parole media player, and the MPV media player. So really well stocked in the media player department. No Office by default, which leaves you open for making your own choice. And then others, we had the printing utilities, and then here we got under settings, our usual settings. And then under System, we have our LSHW that we just installed. And then we got Octopi. Nice. Disk Manager. Let's take a look at Octopi here and open that up and check out our Octopi Manager. I haven't used Octopi in quite a while, but it's basically a GUI front end to the console. And here you can see a whole list of different things that are available. Of course, I would just use the search bar. And then here we got all the groups, so we can look for stuff based on groups like desktops or anything related to GAMBAS 3. And looking for Firefox, but I need to go to all groups here. There we go. Okay, so like if I want to install Firefox, you can just type it up here in the search bar. And then there's the latest version right there up on top. I can select it, and then I think I got to right click and select install. There we go, and there's some dependencies. That's good. I'm going to hit OK. And then if we just hit the green check mark, it'll install. Click. There we go. So I'm just going to let that run, and I'm going to say yes. You also have the option to run that in the terminal, which is good. I'm going to authenticate here. So if you want to see what's going on behind the scenes. But of course, you got the feedback right here in this window anyway, which is nice. But the terminal will let you respond if you ran into some kind of complication, which is rare. And of course, Octopi is very fast, being that it's a front end of the GUI and it doesn't have any overhead with metadata and all that. And there's our Firefox. So that worked out just great. Nice. And we can scroll down and just see gazillions of things here that are available. Very cool. And then our different view settings, our different repositories that are in there by default. And then up here, you got your different windows here. So you can actually look at your terminal here, your help, output, and all the different things. By default, it rests on output, which is great. And there's info if you want to see more info on what you selected, which I think that was 0AD that was inadvertently selected. Probably the first thing in the list. So Octopi, very good. And also under settings, we got other cool stuff like your color profiles and panel settings and all the things you can find right here by clicking on this icon. It'll open up our settings manager. And so we have all our different things like under appearance. We're using the Arc Black Ice theme by default. There we got CachyOS Nord. I like that actually. That looks kind of nice. I'm going to open up my Thunar here, and that looks really cool. I like that. I might kind of go with that. And then here we got some other dark themes, Adwaita and the ADWGTK3, but the Adwaita looks good. The Black Ice looks really nice too, though. I really like that choice. Probably one of the best choices there. But that CachyOS, I just kind of like that look. That's kind of cool. I think I'll just keep that. And then Koger is our default icon set. And I think that looks great too. And so does Koger Dark. That's actually more appropriate for a dark theme. And then we got Manjaro Dark and then Ubuntu style. I like that too. The orange actually looks good. That's a nice contrast and color match with the Nord theme here. I think I'll keep that. Why not? Tweaking is half the fun. And then our different fonts here, and I think we're good with the default fonts, but if you don't like the font rendering or whatever, you can tweak all that right there. And then our menu and button settings, I'm like the defaults, and then come over here to our desktop. And here we can see all our different wallpapers. Nice. And before I select those though, I think I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because I want to have my show desktop here so we can actually peek at those wallpapers a lot easier. But just first glance here, the wallpapers look really nice. I'm liking that. But first, let's just backtrack. I'm going to go over into the panel settings and just click on items. And then I'm going to add in the show desktop widget there. So I'm going to scroll down and select it and hit add. And there we go. Cool. So there's our show desktop. So now if I go back to all settings and then back into my desktop thingy, wherever that was, there it is. And now I can select wallpapers and then easily see it here through the show desktop. And cool. Looks like a blurred out cityscape. And let's see what that is. Wow. A monster. Cool. So some nice looking. That's nice too. I like that. A bunch of lanterns lying there. And I think that's a stormtrooper. Yeah, cool. Good Star Wars-like theme there. Another cool fantasy style theme. And that's really consistent with the StormOS theming there. Cool. Right out of Cars, the movie. Piston Cup. That must have been like the third movie or second, maybe. I can't remember. But I recognize that piston cup. He did what in the cup? And there's another cool one. Wow. Catching lightning bolts is kind of fun. Now that's a nice background too. I like that. That's something I would consider also. And then another cool storm look. Wow, I like that with the car. Very nice. So I don't know. That's a really tough choice. I like that one. That's got some great color in it. It's not overly busy. I think maybe I'll go with that. Nice. So then pressing on here, we got our keyboard settings. So in here, I like to select the restore numlock state on startup because I use my numlock a lot. So I like having that on. Here we got our application shortcuts. So if you want to add shortcuts to your different apps, like for example, you want to use say Super B to open your browser, you can change it right there easily, or add your own shortcuts for whatever app you want to add. And that's something I use a lot in XFCE. So those are our settings. And this really has a nice polished look. I like this a lot. And just right out of the box, it just looks really great with just a few clicks and you just get a fantastic look. Here I like to turn on my image view in the side pane there under view settings. That's something I typically do. But Thunar is definitely one of my favorite file managers too. One of the things I really like about XFCE, I think. Let me look at this stuff. I forgot wanted to look at this. So here's our volume control settings, our mixer and all that. I never did select any of these. And then our battery settings, our notifications. Then we got our clock and our calendar, which is quite beautiful. Still staying consistent with the Nord theme. Very cool. There's our power strip. So that's where we can go, have easy access to shut down. Also available in the main menu. And also, so I guess the other thing I forgot to mention is the whisker menu is already tweaked just the way I like it. I mean, it's got the categories, hover, and everything, so I don't even have to touch it. I think that is great. That's, for me, it's my experience, that's kind of rare in an XFCE distro where I don't have to go in and tweak something in the whisker menu. So that's cool. I almost feel like it was customized just for me. So, wow, I think I covered everything here. All my relentless babbling has worn out my voice, almost. Well, maybe it's unwearable. But anyway, I guess it's time for my 2 cents. And yeah, all I can say to Ben Fitzpatrick and all the rest of the team there, which there's so many of you guys I can't remember, but Ben and Seeker and all you people, just got to give you the slow clap. Well done. This is really a great looking distro, and I think this is something I would totally recommend. I really like the way it's set up. It's styled beautifully. The window button widget is right in the center there. I think that is very stylish with a nice black colored semi-transparent panel. And then of course the transparencies are already kind of preset on your windows. So when you slide your windows around, you go a little transparent and so forth. So everything was just already done for you. All the nice little tweaks that just add that extra polish to XFCE, they've captured right here in StormOS. So I think this is really a beautiful distro, and I can't think of anything to criticize here. It's just really made for convenience. Changing out kernels, no problem. Having to do the little things to avoid getting into the terminal if you're not really a terminal fan. The StormOS utilities have you covered there in many areas. I like that. And then, of course, the customized video recorder made by Seeker. That, I think, has a lot of potential. I'm going to be playing with that, I think, a little bit offline on hardware. I'm going to have to stick it on an extra laptop or something so I can kind of explore that a little more, because I find that really intriguing. And I think under the proper conditions, which means not on a VM, I think that really should work. Really fantastic. I think my results are going to be a lot different. So again, I'm excited about that. And of course, a lot of times when something new is introduced, it's going through a stage of evolution. So I'm going to really be excited to kind of follow this and see how that utility evolves as well. Very nice. And with that, I think I've given my 4 cents instead of 2 because I'm babbling so much, but there's lots to babble about. So I love it. Yes, I do recommend this. It does earn a double thumbs up. And I hope this little sneak peek here was helpful. And if you really want to get a feel for it, go on out to the website, download it, and try it for yourself and see if you can be made into a believer as well. And back to that being helpful thing. If it was helpful, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. And on top of that, hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.